So I've had this fridge, the ICECO APL 35, for 1 year at this point. So I figured this was a good time to do a 1 year review, kind of explaining what I love about this fridge, the couple of things that I think could potentially be better about this thing, and just how it's worked for me over the past year. I originally had it, some of you guys might remember, in the homemade truck camper that I did last year. I had it on the slide system underneath the bed in there, but I then sold that truck camper earlier this year, bought the van, and decided to integrate this into the van conversion here. And it's worked out really well to this point overall. I also want to talk a little bit about the efficiency of this unit and how much power it's been using for me on the road. I know that's something that a lot of folks are curious about when they are considering 12-volt fridge options, in particular for RV life or van life or boat life or camping or whatever it may be. I do have a link in a promo code in the description below. If you use the link icecofreezer.com/elementlife, you can get the best available pricing on this product. Right now, they are running a Black Friday special. Today is Black Friday, as you guys are seeing this video, so they've got some really good discounts on a lot of their fridges and freezers and other accessories as well. So would definitely recommend checking them out. I've been working with ICECO for quite a while at this point. This is not my first ICECO fridge. Some of you guys might remember in the high ace, I had the VL60, and that was a much larger fridge. It was very different from this. They were both dual zone, which is something that's very important for me. But that particular fridge had two different lids, whereas this one only has one lid. That one was a little bit heavier, but that thing is kind of a tank, and as far as I know, it's still going strong. I'm still in touch with the previous owner of the high ace, and I don't think she's had any issues with that thing. These ICECO fridges have a 5-year warranty on them, and they're pretty durable in my experience. They're solid products. So this one in particular, I like even more than that VL60 because it's just, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I like it, but it's the right size for me. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. I think probably my number one pro of this thing is the aesthetics of it. And that might sound kind of silly, but I think it's a good looking fridge. And in this particular setup, you know, in the truck camper, you couldn't really see it because it was underneath the bed and I would just pull it out and then put it back in. But with this setup, the first thing you see when you open this sliding door is this fridge. It's pretty hard to miss. It's kind of like a centerpiece of the build. And I did that for practical reasons. It wasn't really for the aesthetics. It was just because I wanted to have this extra counter space on top of the fridge if I'm, you know, preparing a meal or whatever it may be. If I just need to store something on there throughout the night or whatever, it just gives me more usable space inside the van. And also just having it at this height makes it a lot easier for me to just stand up. I can open it up, check inside, look down, grab whatever I need. It's just an easy way to kind of do it. I liked how it was set up, but the consequence of that is that it is the first thing that you see when you look at this build. I mean, it's very, very visible. You even have this ICECO logo in basically every shot that I have inside this van while I'm making videos, and that wasn't really intentional, but fortunately, it's not hideous. It looks really cool. The all aluminum design, it's very unique. It's also super lightweight as well, which brings me to another thing that I love about this fridge, the size. Overall, the size is perfect for me. I've had a lot of 12-volt fridges over the years, and some have been too big, some have been too small. This one is just right. Having that dual zone option, I'm going to get to that probably in the next point, is so important. But even more than that is the fact that this thing is more portable than any 12-volt fridge I've ever owned. This thing is like 35 pounds when it's empty. It's super light. It's so easy to move around with these handles on the side. The other ones that I've had have just been heavier in the past. And I think that because of this aluminum design, it's just very, very portable. So if you're somebody that maybe goes camping and just wants to take it out to your campsite and take it back in, or bring it into the house and bring it back out for your trips and not necessarily just have it in the same spot all the time like I do in here, it's kind of the perfect option for that. It's just very, very portable, very, very easy to move around. Pro number 3 is the dual zone compatibility of this unit. And if I am actually like ranking these in order, I didn't really put them in any particular order, but if I did, the dual zone thing is probably the most important. Over the years of living in vans, I've had fridges that didn't have a dual zone option, and I've had fridges that do have the freezer option. And being able to freeze food occasionally is definitely a game changer. And it's nice just to be able to freeze ice cream or whatever it may be, fried pickles or mozzarella sticks for the air fryer or whatever. It's a nice convenience. You know, it's not necessary, you don't necessarily need it, but you know, it does make things a little bit more comfortable when you're living in a van. So having the dual zone option is great. I can change one zone to a freezer compartment. I can change them both to freezer compartments. I've never done that, but I could. Most of the time, though, I am just running them both as refrigerator compartments. I don't actually have any frozen food in there at the moment. Number 4 on my list of things I love about this fridge is actually the Bluetooth app. Never thought that I would use a Bluetooth app for the fridge, but I use that thing all the time. You can control the temperature in one or both zones, whatever you want to do. You can play with different settings. Part of the reason why I use it all the time is because of my setup here. It might be user error, but I made it so that I can't actually access the buttons to control the temperature or really turn the fridge on and off or really do anything, because there's just not a lot of space in between the platform for the bed here and the actual fridge. But the app makes it so that I can easily do that. I can just turn on my phone and control it from all over the place. I mean, I can even be outside the van. I can be in the front seat. It's nice to be able to do that. And the app is great. It works really, really well. I can, like I said, adjust the temperatures and play with all the different settings, and it takes a second to pair with the device and is actually really convenient. I don't even know if I've ever had an app that can connect to my fridge in the past. It's something that you don't really think about. You say, oh, I don't really need that. But if you have the fridge underneath the bed, like I did in the truck camper even, it's the same thing. I was using the app all the time, even in the truck camper, because the buttons were behind it and I couldn't access the buttons to be able to actually control the temperature inside the fridge. So the app is pretty important when you're living in a small space like this. And the last thing I want to mention as a pro with this fridge is the overall design of the lid in particular. I love that I can just do this, and it's on like a hinge that actually stays up and stays lifted, so I can access what I need without having to necessarily hold it up all the way. It's a little touch. It's not really a crazy design thing, but it does actually help to make things a little bit more convenient. And then the seal is pretty nice as well. Comes down, use the 2 latches, and they close nice and tight and keep things nice and secure in there. Okay, so in terms of power consumption, I've been doing some tests over the last 10 minutes or so using the ICECO app on my phone as well as my battery monitoring app to see exactly how much it's using. I did turn off my solar input and tried to turn off all the lights in here as well, just to try to get a gauge of just what this is using and not anything else inside the van. And it's pulling probably somewhere between 80 and 90 watts when the compressor is running on max mode. I do exclusively run it on max. You can do max or eco, but I don't really have a reason to run it on eco because my battery bank is so large inside this van, and the fact that I have 500 watts of solar on the roof and the DC to DC charger, there's really no reason for me to worry about it, and I don't really find myself even thinking about how much power this thing is using, which is why I'm having to do the tests right now so that I could share with you guys, because I really haven't thought too much about it over the last 6 months. But like I said, 80 to 90 watts on max. On eco mode, I assume it's going to use quite a bit less than that, maybe like 50 or 60 watts while that compressor is running. If you are trying to freeze one side, though, it's going to use more power, right? Like, it makes sense. It's going to run more frequently if you're trying to maintain freezing temperatures on the right side of the unit. And when I was in the truck camper, I had a much smaller battery bank, and I did notice that overnight, if I was trying to run the freezer compartment on one side, it would use a little bit more power throughout the night, and then during the winter time, I didn't have as much solar on that, and I didn't have a DC to DC charger, so I would have to be mindful of how much I was using with the fridge. So something to think about if you're considering a freezer compartment. You want to make sure that you have the right size battery bank. In my case now, I have 560 amp hours, so it's not really something like I said, that I really think too much about. This thing is very efficient overall. It's well insulated, and the compressor is not running all the time. I mean, it's hot as heck inside this van right now. You can probably tell on camera, I'm sweating. It's over 90 degrees Fahrenheit in here, and this thing is still not really running that often because it's well insulated, it's well sealed, and the compressor is extremely efficient. It was getting kind of hot in there. I gotta open the door, change up the angle a little bit here, but in terms of the cons of this unit, there really aren't many. I don't say this lightly, but this is one of the best 12-volt fridges that I've ever owned, if not the best. In terms of the chest fridges, it's definitely my favorite of all the chest-style freezers that I've had. in the past, again, for all the reasons that I mentioned in this video. And if I'm looking for things to complain about, I can probably find a couple, but I'm really just kind of being a pain in the butt. The first thing is I do get a little bit of condensation inside here. That has been the case with literally every 12-volt fridge that I've ever owned, though, so I don't know if there's much that you can do about that. The bottom line is if you have a fridge inside a vehicle and the temperature gets above 100 degrees Fahrenheit inside the vehicle, in Florida sometimes 110 or more, it's going to be tough for the fridge to keep all condensation from forming inside the fridge. So it's really not bad too. I mean, this thing is well insulated, it's well sealed. Like I said before, the build quality is definitely there with this, so it's not really too much of an issue, especially when I'm running it on max mode like I do. So maybe that's one thing. The other thing, the finish, the aluminum finish is beautiful. It looks really cool, but it does scuff relatively easily, so I do have to kind of wipe it down. And on top, I do have a couple of scratches going on up there. Again, that's probably my fault for trying to use the top of the fridge as a countertop. It's definitely not designed to do that, but I did pick up a couple scratches on top that I can't quite get out because I was, you know, moving around things up there. I keep my USB fan up there, and sometimes I forget to take it off, and it flies off, and it scratches the top, and, you know, but again, that could be because the, you know, because the material is a little bit softer because of the aluminum, but at the same time, you know, it looks really cool. So I don't know. I'm just looking for things to complain about at this point. If you can't tell by my review here, this thing has really been an awesome fridge over the past year. Like I said before, I do have a link in the description below, icecofreezer.com/elementlife. If you follow that link, you can get the best available pricing on their fridges, like the APL 35 here, as well as their other products and accessories. I would definitely recommend checking out ICECO. They are running a Black Friday, Cyber Monday special at the moment that'll go for the next few days, and they have some pretty good deals on their products. Thank you again, ICECO, for working with me on this video and over the years, and for supporting this channel. And thank you guys so much for watching and for following along. I'll talk to you all again soon.